BlizzCon 2020 has been cancelled, but what does this mean for Overwatch 2? Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. So let's break all of this down. Firstly, let's begin with the official statement that Blizzard released about BlizzCon. Hello Blizzard community. Several weeks ago, I shared an update about uncertainty around holding BlizzCon this year. Since then, a lot has changed and a lot also hasn't changed. During this time, we've had many discussions about what holding a convention could look like in light of all the health and safety considerations we'd want to make. We've also talked about different paths we could take and how each one could ultimately be complicated by fluctuations in national and local health guidelines in the months ahead. Ultimately, after considering our options, we've come to the very difficult decision of deciding not to have BlizzCon this year. We're feeling deeply disappointed about this decision and imagine many of you will feel the same. We truly love BlizzCon, and I know that's a sentiment shared by everyone at Blizzard. We will sorely miss connecting with so many of you at the convention and recharging our geek batteries this fall. But we will meet again. Now, this is the interesting bit. We're talking about how we might be able to channel the BlizzCon spirit and connect with you in some way online, far less impacted by the state of health and safety protocols for mass in-person gatherings. We want to do this as soon as we could, but given that this is a newish territory and the different factors involved, it will most likely be something early next year. And that's the key thing to take away from this, early next year. So BlizzCon is not happening this year. However, there is an online event which is probably going to happen early next year. Blizzard like to announce their major titles at their own events, right? Anyway, talking of events, so no BlizzCon this year. Does that mean no World Cup? I love World Cup. Like, I've been part of the UK World Cup team every year since the World Cup began. So for 4 years, it's crazy, right? But it can't happen online because of the geographical distances involved, right? You can't have South Korea playing against the USA. The ping would be terrible, surely, unless they could work something out. I don't know. What I will say, though, is given the state of the World Cup last year, it might be a good shout that there is no World Cup this year, and Blizzard can kind of come back and retool the whole show and maybe drop a massive World Cup in 2021. But yeah, I would like to see a World Cup, but I don't know. I would also like a statement off Blizzard as well, because normally they'd announced the World Cup by now. I think they normally announce it in like April. And yeah, we're in May and there's been no announcement about the World Cup. So come on, Blizz, give us official wording on that. Anyway, I want to direct you guys to a interview I did with Jeff about Overwatch 2, or rather I asked him a quick question about Overwatch 2. I wasn't actually allowed to talk about Overwatch 2, but I was like, whatever. I flew all the way to Irvine. I'm going to ask Jeff about Overwatch 2. So I asked him about the development, and this is what he said. Little bits of Overwatch 2 information. Could we be seeing bits of stuff come out in the future, like maybe the next month or a couple of months? Or
I think we're going to be pretty quiet on Overwatch 2. Development's going great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. The team is fired up. They know what they're doing at this point. When you're making a brand new game, it's confusing to people, and there's these like moments of doubt, and then there's these awesome moments where you kind of feel like you're hitting your groove.
Yeah,
and
you get into flow. Yeah,
and I feel like the team is hitting their groove and really understanding what Overwatch 2 is all.
You see, this is very similar to what Jeff said actually in 2019 at BlizzCon, saying that, yeah, now we know what Overwatch 2 is, and now we're going to start developing it. And for him to reiterate that again, it's kind of implying to me that, yeah, we are now making Overwatch 2. Don't expect it this year, but we are working on it and we know what the game is. At least that's kind of what I'm reading into there. Now, there are a lot of jobs going for Overwatch 2, and the most recent one is a narrative designer. So you could like extrapolate from that again that they still haven't got the story nailed down for Overwatch 2. They're still looking for help in that department. They're still hiring. Of course, hiring is an ongoing process, and they would always be hiring people. But there's all these little bits of info, little bits of evidence you can kind of stick together and start forming a story around this. So I think it's all super interesting. So Overwatch 2, when will this be launching? Well, I think I would probably put my money on next year. However, what about these things? This is the new Xbox, and the new PS5 as well is due at the end of this year. Surely Blizzard would want to launch their game as those consoles launch, or maybe they wouldn't, right? Because here's the thing. Those consoles will launch with first-party titles that will be heavily promoted. Things like Halo is obviously going to come out. Is it Halo Infinite, I think it is, for the Xbox? Blizzard don't really want to get drowned in that noise, do they? They want their own space, their own time. So maybe this lines up with the whole idea of an early next year event, and then maybe Overwatch 2 starts to launch, let's say, in May next year? Anyway, Blizzard are actually at a couple of events. Now, this is the Summer Games Fest, and Blizzard are at this event. Now, it's not specifically Overwatch, or we don't know it's not specifically Overwatch, but they are at that online event because, of course, there's no E3 this year. But Blizzard never really took part in E3 anyway. But now, even more so with the fact there is no Blizzcon, well, Blizzard need to get their message out somehow about the stuff they're working on. Also, there's the IGN Expo as well, and this is online, and this is coming on June the 5th, 8th, and 9th. And again, Blizzard are part of that, and we can see a little bit more information here. You can check out the entire schedule at the bottom of this story and in the slideshow below, but remember that it's evolving with new games and developers joining the roster all the time. We can say to you that you'll see the likes of Arcade 1-Up, Blizzard, EA, Facebook, Oculus, etc., etc. So Blizzard have something to talk about this year. What are they talking about? Well, they've got a World of Warcraft expansion coming out, but people kind of know about that. That's nothing new. There's a rumored Diablo 2 remaster. Maybe they could be talking about that. There's heavy rumors saying Diablo 4 is coming out this year. Maybe that's what they talk about. There could be an opportunity to talk about Overwatch 2. But if Overwatch 2 is still in, I don't want to say early development because it's not, but if Overwatch 2 is still heavily being developed and the developers only now know that this is the direction they want to take the game in, they understand what they're building, and they're all working on the same page, then they wouldn't start announcing stuff now, right? Or in the next few months, or even this year. It's all interesting when you start packaging it together like that and trying to take a more sort of logical, laid-back sort of approach as to what's going on at Blizzard. So what do we know in terms of Overwatch content that's coming out this year? Well, we know there's no more heroes. We do know there's a new map coming as well, and we think it's it's an assault map, I believe Jeff has said. So that's it. That's all we know for Overwatch at this moment in time. There'll probably be little mini lore events like there has been in the past where you get a short story. We are going to get onto the Efi story, which is a substantial lore drop, to be honest. But beyond that, we're not really going to get too much in terms of new content for Overwatch because the focus is very clearly Overwatch 2, building out the PVE, building out the new maps, building out the new heroes, because they've got tons of heroes they're working on as well for Overwatch 2. So I honestly believe, guys, when you start looking at all of this evidence, I'll be very surprised if we get any information on Overwatch 2 this month, next month, or the month after that. I won't be super surprised if we get some sort of, I don't know, maybe a new little trailer or a new sort of feature list or something, or the announcement of a launch date towards the end of this year, around November, because I honestly think that's what they were going to do at BlizzCon, was straight up say, hey guys, here's another PvE mission, and that becomes the demo. And by the way, we are now announcing the launch date of Overwatch 2, and we're announcing the cost of the game, whatever that will be, whether it's free to play or anything like that, and also probably a progression system. And I think that's maybe the plan for this year for Overwatch 2, or at least for their BlizzCon announcement. Now, they could still do this, right? You don't need BlizzCon to do this. You can still make, they can throw YouTube videos out on their channels. They can do updates, do whatever. They can say, this is Overwatch 2, and this is what's going on. That's still something they can do. But what about beta? Now, this is something a lot of people have been making quite a lot of noise about. And I don't think there's going to be a beta for Overwatch 2 PvE, because it would ruin the content. I think what they will do is maybe there'll be some sort of beta for push mode. Maybe that goes on the PTR and live Overwatch. Maybe what they do is they update Overwatch so we get the new UI, and then they say, hey, oh, by the way, here's push, and push is maybe playable before Overwatch 2 comes out. I don't know, but I can't ever see them using the PvE element of the game they're developing for Overwatch 2 to be a closed beta or even an open beta or any kind of beta, because I think that would eat into the impact of the content at launch. So it's going to be super interesting to see what happens in that regard. So honestly, guys, just to wrap up my thoughts on Overwatch 2 at the moment in time, I think towards the end of this year, we were going to get a slight news update, maybe a launch date, maybe the cost of the game, and maybe other bits of info with possibly like a new cinematic or something like that, right? And then next year, this lines up, remember, with at the start of the video, they actually speak about in that announcement of the cancellation of BlizzCon that they may do an online event early next year. Well, if they do an online event early next year, that's when they say, right, it's coming, this is it, here's loads of footage, let's get ready for the launch, right? And then it launches a few months later. Because I reckon if they do that, then they won't announce anything this year in November, which they were going to do, because that's what BlizzCon was probably going to be. This is where they announce all of their new stuff. Instead, that's being moved to January, let's say, or maybe early February. They announce the dates, they announce everything, and then the game launches maybe just before summer in 2021, around May. It makes sense, right? Because May is the birthday of Overwatch, right? 24th of May is when Overwatch... Is it 24th or 25th? I think it's 24th of May is when Overwatch launched, right? Anyway, all of that's up in the air. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments below, because it's super cool trying to speculate on what's going on with Overwatch 2. But I do wish Blizzard would give us more information. Anyway, talking of more information, let's end a video on this. This is the Hero of Numbani. Now, this was leaked a very long time ago as an Amazon listing for pre-order. This is a story, not a short story. It's a literal 300-page story about Efi and Orisa in Numbani. Now, it's aimed at young teenagers, or it's teenage literature. It's not an adult novel, so you can kind of expect a certain style of writing. So I'll read this off to you guys, and then we'll end the video on this. So this is a summary of the book, and there is more information in the link of this video if you guys want to check that out and go and read the story. But I would recommend that you stay tuned to Hame on YouTube, because he will most likely do a massive breakdown of this in case you guys maybe don't want to pick the book up, or maybe don't want to read 300 pages of Efi Orisa lore. I mean, just give us Zen lore, Blizz. Anyway, let's get stuck into this. So, the book summary. In the technologically advanced African city of Numbani, in the not-so-distant future, humans live in harmony with humanoid robots known as Omnics. But when a terrorist tries to shatter that unity, a hero named Efi Oladeli, I'm sorry if I've butchered your name, resigns. I was going to say, what's she resigning from? Rises. Efi has been making robots since she was little. Machines to better her community and improve people's lives. But after she witnessed Doomfist's catastrophic attack on the city's OR-15 security bots, Efi feels the call to build something greater, a true guardian of Numbani. While Doomfist sows discord between humans and Omnics, Efi engineers an intelligent and compassionate robot, Orisa, named after the powerful spirits who guide her people. Orisa has a lot to learn before she's ready to defeat Doomfist, but Efi has some learning to do too, especially when it comes to building and being a hero. With Doomfist rallying his forces and the military powerless to stop him, can Efi mold Orisa into the Hero of Numbani before it's too late? This action-packed novel features a fan-favourite characters, Efi, Orisa, Doomfist and Lucio, in an all-new original story straight from the minds of the Overwatch game team and critically acclaimed author Nikki Drayden. Well, there you go, guys. I'm going to leave the video at that. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, keep enjoying everything, because everything's beautiful. Well, you know, within reason. You know what I'm trying to say. Wash your hands, you dirty gits. Always keep your hands clean. And I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. Toodaloo.